Hi, I'm Kent Driscoll, B&M ProStaff member. Today I'd like to talk to you about pulling crankbaits with our B&M ProStaff trolling rods. This is a great summertime technique. We typically start fishing in May and pull crankbaits all the way through September. The primary lakes we fish are the North Mississippi lakes, which are Grenada, Arcabutla, Sardis, and Enid. Today I'll be on Grenada Lake. So let's talk a little bit about setup, and let's talk about the equipment that we're using today. I'm using the B&M ProStaff Trolling Series. My number one rod in my first rod holder here is a 16-foot ProStaff trolling rod. My second pole is a 12-foot B&M ProStaff trolling rod, and my third pole is a B&M ProStaff 8-footer. So, as you can see, we've got 4 feet of line separation with our poles here, which is really important when you're pulling these crankbaits to avoid tangles, and also just when you're reeling baits in and throwing them out. So that's a real important tip I want everybody to remember. The other equipment that's real important with pulling crankbaits are these Daiwa line counter reels. And what we typically do is we reset the line counter reel each time that we throw the pole out. So what I'll do is start in the back with my 8-foot rod, and typically I'll put it out at 100 feet. Then I'll move to my second rod, which is my 12-footer, and I'll put it out at 80 feet. My next rod, which is my number one rod, I'll put it out at 60 feet. So I'll have 20 foot of line separation with these 3 poles, which is, again, is real important because you got line separation, you got different lengths out, your baits are running a little bit different depths, and you're trying to figure out what these crappie want. And guess what? It's fishing. It changes every single day. Something else that's real important with pulling crankbaits is color. As you can see, I've got 3 different colors today on my poles. Every day is a little bit different. Today we're on Grenada Lake. We've got a 3-pole limit, so I've got 3 different colors out here. It's a little bit overcast, it's a little bit cloudy today, so you can see I've got some of my bright colored baits that we're gonna try. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about our equipment. The reason I like the B&M ProStaff trolling rods is, number one, the lengths. Again, I've got a 16, a 12, and an 8. I like them because they've got a lot of backbone. And when you're pulling these crankbaits, you get to put a lot of force and you put a lot of pressure on the pole. They'll also flex, and you get out on a lake and you got some high wind and you're pulling into the wind, these poles will actually flex and bend backwards. And that helps you because if you had a really super stiff rod, your baits would actually be surging in the high wind. So those are a couple of the key features with the B&M ProStaff trolling rods that'll benefit you when you're pulling these crankbaits. A couple other key components to pulling crankbaits is obviously your baits. Today I'm using 2 different types of baits. Number one, which is my all-time favorite, is the good old Bandit crankbait. The Bandit 300s and 200s are really hard to beat. Day in, day out, the Bandits are probably the number one crankbait. But new on the market now, Strike King has come up with a line of crankbaits as well. Today I'm using the XD3 series, which is one of their new lines. It's similar to a Bandit, but it's got a little bit different wobble and it has some different colors on it. So we'll be pulling 2 different types of crankbaits on Grenada Lake today. Again, the Bandit 300 and also the new Strike King XD3. Another key is the Precision Trolling Book. Everybody needs one of these right here. What this book is, it will tell you how deep your crankbait will run based on the different types of crankbaits and the amount of line you have out and what size line that is. I use Vicious 10-pound high-vis line. The high-vis helps me see the baits, it helps me reduce my tangles, and 10-pound test helps me pull them free in case we get hung up or a snag. Another one of my keys is I always change my hooks out to the Daiichi Red Bleeding Bait Series number 6 treble hooks. The reason I like the ProStaff trolling rods is they come in multiple sizes. Today I'm using a 16-foot, a 12-foot, and an 8-foot. But most importantly, you've got a blend of strength and sensitivity, and they're perfect for pulling these crankbaits. Let's go fishing.